Whether you're using music as a tool, whether you're just using it to play, using it to motivate, inspire you, just be in the flow of music. I watched a show about a year ago. It's called Frequencies. It's basically of a young little boy and a young little girl. Represents a high frequency. One of them represents a low frequency, because they're the polar opposites of the high and the lows. These represent our emotions. There's something that's trying to be worked out in regards to how they keep causing this chaos with nature. There's a guy in the background and he's playing his piano, and someone says to him, "What is it?" "That is the reset." He said, "It's the music." "What is it resetting?" He says, "It's resetting your soul." So music is literally a channel that connects us on a deeper level. And I used to say, I listen to music with my eardrum. I dance to it, heel and toe. I sing with it with my voice box. I feel it with the heart below.
My name is Jay Rothman. I am the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk, Live. Welcome back. Again, my name is Jay. I am excited to introduce my co-host. We have the man of the land from down under. He calls Australia home. He's coming in hot right off of a pretty intense workshop of sorts. Welcome back, Evis Love.
As always, my brothers, sisters across the other side of the pond, looking forward to diving into another deep episode.
And of course, we have Jay Ritty. He's coming in hot. The second day coming in off of set from back to work on the tank. Welcome back, Jay Ritty.
Good to be here with you guys. Let's break it down. All things money tonight.
And we have Jeff Fasano. He calls Nashville, Tennessee. Jeff, you can see in my background, right behind my candle, is my fresh copy of your book that was just received yesterday. So thank you for sending that out.
Right, we got him here, Jeff. We've got you, man. We got your support there, brother.
As we take a moment here to wait for some of our viewers and guests to show up tonight, want to just drop us into tonight's topic is all about cost of living or living at a cost. It's episode 151. Tonight's show is all about money, money, money. And Ev, since you're on the top shelf, this may have been your topic that we actually we picked in a production meeting just a couple of 24 hours ago. Why don't you kick us off, light us up, get us hot, and get the show going on into money. What is tonight's show all about?
Money, 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 money. I actually looked at money at a different angle when I saw it in the meeting, and so I can't even speak properly, on Messenger this morning before I jumped on the plane from the airport. I actually picked up cost of living also being the living of a cost if we're not really living the life that we truly want to lead. And look, if we're going to go down that angle of strictly about money and the energy behind it, then even more the merrier, my brothers and sisters, because it is a part of a workshop that I do, which I've shared a lot, particularly with the Rainbow Serpent Dream. And I'm very fortunate enough to really help, brothers and sisters nationwide now with. And one of the topics is actually about money. And there's really three things that we still play down here in the third dimension in physical reality. And I've said this, we play with relationships. We always talk about relationships on our show. We talk about health. And in the crux of all of that, you might want to even put money and career together. So these all culminate and they really mold into the one. They really are interconnected. Now, when we think of money or Mooney, funnily enough, it just so happens to be on a lunar eclipse. We're thinking of an energy. the inner chi. The inner chi comes from within. So if we are lacking in money, if we are still in the scarcity programs, we have to have a look at those scarcities within. Money for me, and I share this in a lot of my workshops with brothers and sisters, it was a belief system that I was very limited with. I always taught growing up, I was told that money was the root to all evil. All those rich people, they're greedy. Money's really hard to come by. And all of these other self-denying, self-limiting beliefs that really consume and block you from this abundance coming within your life. Now, as I've been able to do my own mental laundry, I've been able to clean up my slate and be able to really eliminate some of those belief systems. I really found it wasn't about the scarcity of money. It was the shame of not having it. Let me just say that again. It was the shame of not having the money. So when I was able to clean up that shame in behind not having it, then all of a sudden, money started to follow me. I wasn't chasing it because my energy had changed on a particular, as I said in the I tune or the tune in. You are an instrument, my brothers and sisters. You are bringing in the vibrations and the frequencies that you want to actually manifest out in this reality. So we have to start thinking about these money blocks or these things that are making us limit the cost of living, because it really will take away our opportunity to live out some of these dreams, some of these wants, needs, or desires, which to me is really, I feel, what it would come down to. So we've got to think about, is it really the cost of living, or are you living at a cost? So this is going to be a deep episode, my brothers. Let's dive in.
Actually, I think we're kind of done, aren't we? I mean, you hit it, you hit on all cylinders right there, Ev.
Coming in hot, brothers.
I'm fired up now, Ev, because you nailed it out of the gates, man. It's within us. That energy that you're talking about, energy. When I was vision boarding, manifesting, feverishly scouring for business ideas, ways to make money, everything outside of myself, I never had it. I never had money. I wasn't in the right place to be attracting that money. I was in the have-not energy. And I can tell you and believe me, I tried for decades. I spent 15 grand on success seminars that I went like every other month, every third month. It was like a 5-day intensive, 7-day intensive, like studied from the greats, the best out there. I jumped through fire. I went to workshops. I did all feverishly trying to fix whatever was broken in me to align me with money. Now, I can tell you, I struggled with it forever during that period, and I never had the abundance that I wished for. But when I stopped and I focused on myself and my boundaries and setting healthy boundaries with the world outside of myself, I started teaching the world how to treat me. My energy level was expanding. I was showing up in the world differently, confidently, standing up for the little Josh inside, protecting him fiercely. And then also at the same time, going after my passion, not chasing money. And when I flipped and did those things, money hasn't been a problem. It's been flowing to me whenever I need it and showing up for me in the most amazing ways. And I literally don't have to focus on it anymore. All I have to focus on is me, my energy, and showing up as this full, happy, fulfilled self in the world, because I'm going after my dreams and passions and I'm making those the priorities in my life rather than the money I didn't have.
We're going in, brothers. Thanks. We're going in, man. Jeff, what about you, my brother? how's it going around this money?
Well, it's one of my really interesting, guys, because I'm in that place right now where money, I don't want to use the word isn't flowing, but there isn't that flow in my life right now. There are actually, I think Josh just gave me, and you guys just gave me some answers to the questions that I had of like, what's going on right now? Because this book is just all consuming, all the things surrounding what's going on with this book. And I think things are shifting in my life, moving through a transition in my life to other levels. And I'm understanding that, making that transition from something that Josh just said, chasing after the money. And I just realized that the last couple of days I've been thinking on those terms. Where's the next photo shoot coming through? When's the next job coming through? And there are things, some big things on the horizon, but it's about staying with the passion of what is fueling me as opposed to chasing money. Wow. That is because, you know, something, what I realized is that's what we're focusing on. I mean, that's what I'm focusing on, or have been focusing on, is when is the money coming? Mm-hmm. Not when are these next great opportunities coming to move to different levels in my life or different areas in my life. I was focusing on when is the next job coming? And thus, what that is when the money will be coming, as opposed to, wow, I still, I want to shoot. My passion is doing photography. That it should be not where is the money coming next, not where is the next photo shoot coming from next, is about that's my passion and staying with that part. And that is coming from a place of abundance, not abundantly financially, the abundance of my passion, the abundance of my talents, gifts, and abilities, the abundance of how much I enjoy doing that. And I haven't done it in a while, and I really, really, really miss it.
Sure. Sure.
This whole book thing is consuming, folks. If you're ever going to do a book, it will consume every waking minute of your life. Believe me.
Beautiful, brother.
You know what? It was when I shifted to love and giving. How much can I give?
Mm-hmm.
And where are opportunities to give and show up for others while being my whole complete self? Giving myself the love that I need, so I don't need it from anybody else. And then, that giving is just play. Like you with your art, Jeff. That's your play.
Yeah, I'm not a marketer, or I've been feeling the last all week long that I'm an administrator right now.
Yeah,
sure. I'm an administrator of all of this stuff, making, I'm an administrative assistant to myself and making phone calls and all that good stuff. And as opposed to, being an artist, but this is all part of it too.
So I want to switch gears right here and kind of dive in a little bit about when we have a relationship with money, what is the difference between being attached to money versus being connected to it? Almost kind of like, is it similar to our relationships with human beings? And the second part of this I want to challenge you guys on is, does money define how you feel about yourself? Has it defined how you feel about yourself for the better or for the worse?
Yeah, 100%. Two great questions, brother, to start off. I'll answer your first one, that's for sure, man. And that's the attachment to money versus the connection is simply based on your codependence of it. Are you depending on money to give you, to the second part of your question, answer, to manage or note your self-value or your self-worth? So many of us, we grow up from those early ages again, and we define how much money we have in the bank account. That bases our self-worth, our self-value. So when we don't have it, our levels of self-esteem and confidence to actually just live by our own truth, passions, joy, and happiness, and align to some of those gifts and talents that bring naturally in the abundance for our lives. We have everything we need, brothers and sisters. But as I mentioned at the start, if we have shame wrapped around not having the money, then that's when it actually repels from us because of that energy. So we have to dive deep again into these emotions tied with the shame of not having money within our lives. And then we may have to go into certain patterns, behaviors, and habits that allow us to be able to manage money. So we have to be mindful of money. And so we have to have mindfulness practices. If we aren't even checking in with some of these feelings and emotions that are wrapped around not having this money, and then we keep stressing about it, then naturally we are going to, like I said, keep repelling it away. So practicing mindfulness, like you said, Josh, you know, if we are still chasing that coin because we don't have it, and then we don't have it, we go into the lack or the scarcity program, then naturally we are on that frequency or that vibration of not enough.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put me on mute and just listen tonight. I'm serious. I mean, I'm listening to you guys, and it's just it's pretty interesting how when Jay sent out, like, this is going to be the topic for tonight, and I went, wow, this is perfect for what Ev just said is wonderful for me to hear right now, because I'm in that place. What's going on right now, which is just triggering these old systems within me about money and it not being there, which it's not the truth. It's really interesting. I mean, this is wonderful. I mean, I'm going to be a listener tonight.
Well, as you're listening, Jeff, I'm going to invite you to kind of I'm going to just plant the seed within you, which is maybe this is just another question, is how often is our relationship with money not even our relationship with money? Meaning it's attached to our ancestors. It may be your father's relationship or your mother's relationship, or whomever had a significant influence on your life when you were a child growing up. Because so much, depending on what your backstory was or your family history, we all are indoctrinated when we are born into our homes, into a relationship, having or not having money. And that, for many of us, becomes our mantra. That becomes our GPS system. And so that's just another component of it, is how often when we're in that inner dialogue around our relationship with money, is it even our dialogue that we're having? Whose is it? What do you make of that, Jay Ritty?
Well, I certainly didn't get past any. My dad was great with money. I don't know what happened to me, but you know, I had a really messed up relationship with money for most of my adult life. It hasn't been till recently, and I've been to the bottom, but I've also, you know, I had like a 2-bedroom house with a pool in Burbank, and it was, and those were some of my most miserable years because I was in my head and critical on myself. But then after my startup crashed and I owed $500,000 to investors and over $120,000 to friends and family, and I finally just forgave myself for all that years of pressure. I was renting a room from a guy. I was paying $950 a month. It was like less than I had ever paid in college. But I had a room, and that was it. and I was meditating and I was working on myself and I was doing the healing journey, and I was happier there than I had been with this big house and a pool when I was putting all of this pressure on myself to be successful and to be, because I was what I was dying for was I'm worthy, I'm enough, my dad's proud of me. I mean, I was dying for all of those things from the outside world during that period. And those were my unhappiest years. So it's that we are the battery, right, Ev? We are the powerhouse. We are the power station. And when we create that from within, and when we can be proud of ourselves, and we do feel worthy, we do. But I hear you. It's hard in a comparing world. It was really hard for me during my broke time not to feel less than. I mean, it took me 7 years to finance anything. I had to pay cash for everything. Multiple points I tried to buy a different car in there, and I got turned down from everybody. And it's hard not to feel unacceptable to the world. I was financially unacceptable to every bank, every institution, every lender. And I literally had to pay cash for everything for 7 years after that crash. And it is a battle in your head to not feel unworthy, unacceptable to the world.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Josh, because I'd like to kind of expand what you just said in this last moment here, which is that our go-to when we feel like we're not producing enough, or we don't have enough to cover our expenses, or wherever we're at in that moment, we do take it personally. Meaning, many of us actually we spiral. We take it in a downward spiral, and we make it about us in that moment.
Yeah,
and we take it personally as though there's something very wrong with us. However, what if we were to shift? What if we were to change our relationship with it and truly tap in the way we've spoken about the same topic many times on Real Men Real Talk Live, which is, what if we actually look at that moment and ask God or divine source, what are the lessons that I'm supposed to be receiving from this relationship with my status with money in a moment? And because when we are able to really examine or process and reflect and really embrace the lessons, perhaps instead of feeling less than, we could actually tap into what I'll call humility. And the reason I say that is that I spent my whole corporate career chasing the mighty dollar. And it for me, success was always measured around how many zeros were before the decimal point. And no matter how much success I had, no matter how much I had created, first of all, it was never enough. Meaning I still needed more. Now, I needed more because I wasn't emotionally ready for the windfall of the success that I had. And therefore, I didn't respect the money that I created in my corporate career. But secondly, it really comes down to is that, at least for me, no matter what I had achieved, it was never enough. I was always striving to get to that next level. And what I didn't know then, of course, which I understand today, was because I hadn't done any of the inner work. I was living in the old narrative as far as creating wealth and living a lifestyle that would prove that I was worthy of it, or that I was enough. And no matter how much I had achieved, it never filled me up. I always felt like it was almost like, yeah, I'll say it. It was almost like an addiction. It really was. We can easily get addicted to creating wealth, and then not feeling like when we've reached that level that it is enough. So we continue to do the same exact thing over and over again. And I did that for 39 years. And what I will share is that today I'm not creating that level of financial wealth that I had when I was in corporate America. But what I have today is way more inner peace. What I have today, for the first time in my life, is humility. And I'm always trusting that in the moment, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Even though at times, I may say, can we just hurry this process up? Can we just, Mary may say the same thing to me sometimes. But the truth is that we put this incredible burden on ourselves, especially as men, if we are in a family dynamic where we have a partner and we have children, and we think that we want our wife to be a stay-at-home mom per se, and that puts even more burden on us as the primary individual responsible to create wealth in the family dynamic and the family model. So, those are just some of my thoughts in this moment. So just to recap, one is that rather than going into the old narratives of when we don't feel like we have enough, that we're not worthy, or that, we beat ourselves up from a self-esteem perspective. Instead, what if we were to just, in that moment, just ask, what are the lessons, what I'm supposed to be learning in that moment? And I do want to shift and to really ask you, gentlemen, this evening, what is our relationship with money and with spirituality? What can it be can it be a healthy relationship? How important is that? And how can it change our relationship with creating money and creating wealth? If we embrace spirituality, what role can God or divine source play in it?
As you were talking, Jay, one of the many affirmations that I do every single morning, part of it is, and I think this comes down to, if we could take money out of the equation, what do we need? What do I need each and every day to live the life that I'd like to lead? And part of this affirmation, it's a prayer for abundance. But in it, part of it says, whatever I need, whenever I need it, wherever I need it, for as long as I need it, will always be at hand. That just popped in. It's part of a larger prayer that I do surrounding abundance every morning. But it's not so much about money, because we attach our lifestyles, what we're doing, what we're eating, when the money is not in flow. And, I'm talking about artists and people who are, self-employed, so to speak, not the people who have 9-to-5 jobs and getting that steady salary and all that good stuff. But for us, and for me, when the money is not flowing, and I don't even want to use the word not, because that's what's shifting and changing to me during this show. What you just said, wherever we are in the moment, that's where it is. It doesn't mean that nothing's flowing or it's not flowing. We're just in a place wherever we are in life, and then that energy will begin to flow again. So when we first got together tonight, I said, I don't feel like I'm in flow. I feel like I'm stuck in this place. And I wasn't referring to money. And I think that's what I'm learning here from you guys tonight, is it's about what do I need, and what's happening in my life right now. And, as an artist right now, the photo shoots aren't coming. Things are shifting. So this is a transition period. And as Jay said, wherever we are right now is where we are. And we could take money out of the equation. It's amazing how I personally can attach money to what's going on. Holy crap. And that's what I'm doing. I'm attaching money, and then what it's bringing up is my attachments to survival consciousness.
There you go.
That's what's popping up in my life right now is, can I survive? Because the flow of work or photo shoots, or it's different, there's a transition, it's not happening right now. And it's triggering those old remnants, perhaps, of survival consciousness.
Beautiful. Well, for a guy who said he was going to just listen and not talk tonight, you seem to have had a reversal.
You guys
just inspired you.
Yeah, you guys inspired me to make me think about things differently.
Beautiful. Ev, I want to bring it back to the question I just asked and get your insights on it. What role does God or source play in our relationship with money? And how can we turn it if it is a negative relationship? How can we pivot? How can we invite faith, trust, patience into this process of our relationship with the mighty dollar?
And you just said 3 of them, my brother: faith, trust, even patience. You know, one of those other things that, you know, you've got to talk about when it comes into spirituality terms. I mean, that was definitely something that was a limiting belief in me as well. You know, you've got to, first identify some of these money blocks and these belief systems. So when we're able to even identify where these belief systems have come from, ask yourself then, are these even true? You know, spiritual people shouldn't have money, or if you're spiritual, you can only do this and only do that. Money is spiritual. Money is an energy. It is a tool. So when we can have a look and see it more as a tool to allow us to create what within our lives. At the real root of all of this, my brothers and sisters, when we do get past the shame of not having it, we've mentioned this in the show before, it is literally about your stability, your security, and your safety. So when we can feel safe, stable, and secure within our own being, down at that root chakra or that light center, the foundation, then that allows us to rise into our creativity, to rise and be able to manifest some of these dreams, wants, goals, needs, or desires within our lives. And then, yes, we may have to start putting in some sort of new behavior and actions to know how to self-manage. Man, I had to learn about money. I was never taught about money. I actually went into the books and I had to learn where money came from. What was it backed up by? What was this thing about money that was blocking me within my life? It was me within. I wasn't expansive. I was being expensive. So for me, your real cost of living is if you're not living it. And what I mean by that is that you aren't aligned to your purpose, to your soul plan. When naturally, when you start to align to those particular things within your life, like I said, the energy of money itself, spiritually, physically, will start coming within your life. Now, on a side note, when I was just doing that workshop, again, really good timing, I actually said to the guys in there, and this was actually for, guys that are in the mines, and you could look at the metaphor of that, you know, what is their mind about before they go into these mines? I said, okay, guys, what are we here for? What is the purpose of this opportunity that is upon you? You know what they said to me? Good money. I said, oh, okay. So that is the money block right there. There's nothing wrong with having that as the intention, but it was the shame of not having the money previously within their life. Now, when I brought it back to their own values, their own vision, their own purpose, it changed the meaning of the opportunity that has been given and presented to them. So money is not just a physical thing. It's a state of mind and it's a state of being.
And something you said just jumped out at me, Ev, is that, you know, when I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. Did you guys ever have the 1 day disease? One day when I have one day when I have enough money, I can be free. One day when I have enough this, I can be this finally, or I can be that, or I can do this, or I can do that. I had 1 day disease bad. And that was the exact same time I had no money in my bank account. But if you are living for 1 day, then you are currently not living.
Or living in the moment.
Yep. If all of your focus and energy is on 1 day, you're not here. You're not now. You're not living. And you know what? You don't have to have these big lavish vacations to feel free. You don't. There's small ways that you can do these things to have that energy now, to be that energy now. And then you are bringing that into your life. You are living it today and not. I wasted. Well, not wasted. Let me reframe that. I spent my entire 30s for 1 day. And I can't get them back. And going into my 40s, I said, there's no way in hell I'm doing that again. Because I worked my entire 30s and I was still broke at the end of it. And I didn't live. I turned down connection with friends, trips, plans, evenings, dinners to try and make that dollar. And I wish I could have it back. But now,
go ahead.
Now I do small weekend trips. I can't afford a big European vacation right now, but there's little ways to feel free still. I just got back from a trip out to Joshua Tree in the desert. We stayed out there 2 nights, and it felt fantastic. I felt free. I felt like I had it all. I was peaceful. I gave myself a gift for working so hard this last 6 months. Like, there's little ways we can do this, even though if you don't have a lot right now. And that is the having energy. That is the being energy. That is the presence of now and enjoying your life now. And I guarantee that energy is going to bring more money to you than 1 day.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing, Josh. I want to push back on you just a little bit with love for you.
Let's go.
When we reflect back on a period of our life where we were not in flow, we were not in sync, and we go to, I wish I would have, or I can't get back that time. There's an energy exchange that's taken place for that. However, I want to invite you to embrace what I'll call changing your relationship with that window of time. Instead of seeing it as, God, I lost my 30s. What if you would embrace that and say, I'm not feeling it quite yet. I'm not feeling it quite yet. However, I know that I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't gone through that decade. Because otherwise we're going to live in regret, you know?
And I don't like regrets, because why waste time on something you can't change?
Right.
And I'm for sure grateful for even my financial crash, because it forced me on the journey.
Right.
It forced me to be who I am today. So yes, but there's a tiny bit of struggle sometimes when I look back at my 30s and I'm like, wow, I was in such a different headspace and focused on all the wrong things.
Right.
But that's part of this thing.
But you know something, Josh, you're not now. And if that didn't happen, You would,
Oh, yeah.
you if that didn't happen, I'll put it this way. So if that didn't happen when it happened at that perfect time that happened, it would have to happen again for you to possibly learn what you needed to
I
learn.
had to go through
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so everything that goes on in our lives is divine. You know, it's divine in that brings us to where we are now. Even what happened 15 minutes ago or an hour ago or 2 days ago is all divine if we come with the mindset of like, okay, that is in my plan. From my soul perspective, all of it is perfect and sacred and divine. What am I learning? How am I growing? And what tools am I garnering from all of those experiences that I went through? When I lived in LA, I left New York with a hell of a chunk of change. I left LA with $5,000 in my pocket. You know, whatever happened. I learned an awful lot from it. And, you know, I joke around like, oh, wow, I have a terrible relationship with Los Angeles. But it was all perfect and divine. Does it make me giddy? No. No, it doesn't make me giddy and go, oh, wow, that was great that all that happened. No, it sucked. But it really was the biggest trigger of those years to move me deeper into my scarcity consciousness.
Yeah, the one thing I do also want to bring back, Jeff, it's really you just hit on something that's kind of triggered for me is that when we are chasing the mighty dollar, meaning we see we think we see a gateway or we see a portal or a path to having more of an abundance of money, but if we're doing it in a way where it's not in alignment with the true essence of our passion in life, then
Exactly.
what's the likelihood that either A, we're going to reach that pinnacle, or B, we're going to be at peace along the way, striving to reach the pinnacle?
Yeah. The key word is striving. In the mindful and self-compassion class that I took a whole bunch of months ago now, there is a whole lesson about striving and how we can stay in that mode, in that energy of we're always striving after something.
I think, Gabby,
striving after this, striving. Just think about it, folks. What are you striving after right now? Striving is one. It's equivalent to Josh when he just said one day. So I'm going to strive for that one day. And A, it's really not that healthy, and B, it's not about living life. You're just continually striving after something, chasing after something, and then all of a sudden, if you get it, going, wow. And more than likely, as you said, Jay, earlier, no matter how much money you made or had, it wasn't enough. So you kept on striving after something that wasn't even fulfilling your heart space. You're muted.
The work itself, I found at times was fulfilling because I was in creative. But the challenge for me was, and it's a big but, was that I wasn't at peace within myself. I hadn't done the inner work to become the man I am today. I hadn't gone through it yet. I was looking in all the wrong places, chasing it, thinking that when I do make it enough, or when I do make more, when I do buy that next high-end car, the bigger home, or that vacation, or that next men's designer suit, or whatever it was, that I'd be okay, that I'd be happy. So what I was chasing was what I was taught was to chase happiness. And as we know, happiness isn't sustainable. It's a fleeting emotion. It comes and goes. So I was chasing happiness, utilizing money as the access point. And no matter what I had picked up along the way, it was never enough. It was never enough. And so, yes, it's, Shannon says ego, Jay. You were totally an ego back then. I was anywhere except here, meaning living in my heart space. Yes. Because I didn't know what I didn't know. You know, it just, these things, I was taught what I was taught in a home, in society, at school, on a playground.
Yeah.
It was all about, at least from my perspective, it was how it looked. And as long as it looked good, then I thought I'd be good. And the truth is that I wasn't good. I wasn't okay. There were times I was, but for the most part, I was living in an internal dialogue within myself that I wasn't at peace. And I did everything I could do to fill it up and use money as that access point to create wealth. And the truth is I wasn't ready for it. Even when it showed up, I wasn't ready for it. So I squandered it. I abused it. I misused it. Today, I live a very simple life. You know, I don't have a 4,000 or 3,600 square foot home today. I live in a 742 square foot tiny home. That's just one example. And I don't mind not having men's suits today. I only held on to one, but I think the last time I put it on was when my oldest son got married. I haven't worn it since. And I'm at peace with that too, you know? The dirtier my feet, the cleaner I am. What I mean by that is that instead of wearing designer shoes, I'm wearing hiking shoes, and my feet do get dirty. And I'm at peace with that today.
All barefoot, brother. I've seen you out there barefoot a couple of times.
Yeah. Right. Have you been such an active listener tonight? What are you making of all this? It's time for you to kind of put a pretty bonus show and eventually get to a wrap. What are you making of this conversation that we've had this evening?
Well, it's a conversation I think it's going to go on for a while as we keep really managing and I guess balancing out the karma even wrapped around money on this planet. It has really been an energy exchange which has been associated for a lot of people's belief systems as greed. You know, there's nothing wrong with money. It's how we use it. Like I said, it is a tool. So to identify the emotions that are wrapped around the belief systems that have been blocking you from actually having it within your life would be 100% the first step, my brothers and sisters. You know, those times when I felt like I was broken and my self-esteem and my worth was based around the money in the bank, I had to do a lot of deep inner journey work. Once I got and really identified and eliminated some of those belief systems, I started to replace them. And I still, till this day, to maintain the practice of keeping an abundant and prosperous mindset, replace it with a particular energy and frequency that I'm always looked after.
There you go.
We're always looked after, brothers and sisters. Look at the miracle that you've been living in. You've been through hard times, but what happened? You still got over the line. So we have to fall back in gratitude. We have to come back to the things that we're grateful for. You know, you are looking after. My ancestors look after me. Higher source looks after me. Out on country looks after me. If you need to learn about abundance, step outside in nature. she will teach you the abundant mindset. She will teach you how to be abundant and feel abundant. And think about the way you talk to yourself, because if you are still associating these emotions wrapped with your worth, then you're going to have to change through affirmations that money mindset. I'll share mine that I do daily. I am Evis. I am health. I am wealth. I have an abundance mindset that allows me to feel safe, secure, healthy, free, to teach spirituality to the world.
Beautiful, Ev.
And that's all I say daily. I plan, I practice, I repeat. Plan, practice, repeat. Simple, not easy.
It took 151 episodes for Evis to finally come to peace with that. Simple, not easy. Wow.
You know, Ev, for that very reason, I keep in my wallet during the hard period, the crash of my life, I got down to $11. My bank account was empty, and I had a 10 and a 1 in my wallet. And I vowed that if I got out of that hole, I'd save that as a reminder. And I keep it in my wallet. I keep it as a reminder that I'll be okay. In the worst of times, I'll be okay. And that's the trust and surrender.
Yeah. It's trusting that the universe is going to support us. And you know something, it always does. If we can be in gratitude, like Ev just said, for all the times that it has in our life. I mean, just look at it. I mean, look at where we are, even the four of us right now. And I'm thinking, you know, my scarcity consciousness and survival consciousness has been triggered the last couple of weeks. But the key is to look at what is in our lives, not what isn't. I can tend to go at what isn't in my life, which is a challenge for me. I really have to consciously stop that, even when I'm doing it. Whoa, there it goes. And I hit that, and we all go into blind spots. And I was in a blind spot the last couple of days or maybe a week or so of oh, wow, I don't have this. I don't. This is not there. This is not coming. So wait a second. What is the universe telling me right now? What is in my life? What's coming up in my life? You know, and you know that's a challenge for me, is to remain with what is in my life. And like Ev just said, the universe has supported all of us. And I have to remember that. It's trusting that the universe is going to support us. And then also trusting that there are people in our lives who are going to support us right where we are and love us right where we are.
Exactly, brother. Amen to that, my friend. Amen.
Yeah.
Damn, doesn't it come down to that? Will I be loved if I have $5,000 to my name? Will I be loved if I have $500,000 to my name? Will I be loved if I'm the biggest rock star in the world? It all comes down to that simple place of loving and needing to be and wanting to be loved. Wow.
You know what's interesting about that too is that many of us that have this relationship with money around money will bring me relationships too. and success in relationships. I've worked with a number of clients over the years that there's no guarantee. They've had very successful careers in their practices, in their businesses, yet they hadn't been married. They had broken engagements, broken relationships. And that's why they seek counsel, is because they didn't understand why they could have such great success in their career. But when it came to personal relationships, they weren't able to have sustainability. They couldn't maintain a healthy relationship. So then they come asking, what's wrong with me? Why can I have such success here? But yet when it comes to my personal life, not so. What do you make of that, Riddy?
Just taking everything in tonight, you guys. Amazing breakdown of this. It's the relationship with ourselves first.
Yeah.
First and foremost, always. And if that's, fractured, negative, that inner dialogue, like Ev was talking about, those words we use are so important. And if those are filled with negativity, or I don't have, or I wish I had, or one day, instead of, Jeff, you called it, that gratitude for everything we have right now.
Yeah.
A roof over our heads, no matter how small your place is. You're not out sleeping on the street like the homeless guys a block away from me here. You have food, you have water, you have people who love you. You love yourself, you honor yourself, you value yourself. You go out into the world, you share your gifts and abilities and your love for the world. We have so much. Even though social media tries to tempt us to compare, and we see our friends off in Fiji or wherever. I mean, sure, I'm happy for them. But I don't need to get caught in the comparing mindset. What I have is beautiful, and I'm so grateful for all of it. And maybe that's because I've been reduced to nothing before, but gratitude, Jeff, got me out of that time. When I was at my smallest, I was grateful for every little thing I had.
Yeah.
And
yeah. I was out with a bunch of buddies last night in my men's group, from a men's group here. We went out for dinner, and I don't know how, a friend of mine just came back from Australia. He was there for 21 days. And so we got together and we're hanging out. I don't know how the conversation got around to third world countries. And I said to them, I think it should be a requirement that everybody must go and visit a third world country. I've been to three, on 3 different occasions, 3 different trips in my life for various different reasons, quote unquote third world countries. And we were just talking about it. And I remember one instance when I was in Burma, and a friend of mine and I went out to walk around. We were in this nice hotel, but we wanted to go walk around, and people were living in huts. And I remember this woman stopped us and asked us to come in for breakfast. She opened up the hut and had everything laid out. She was asking us to come in. And that's what she had. That's where she lived. And she wanted to give to us and invite us in to her hut. And I forgot that story. And I was telling these guys, because one of the guys is one of those guys that has a Fitbit. He's got all these gadgets and things, and that really don't pertain to anything in life except for I can have that. And I told him that story, and he went, wow. And I said, yeah, that woman thought she had everything that she needed, and was inviting us in for a meal. And if we can remember that and just really think about that and how wonderful that is. I remember that because my friend at the time, my friend Carol just went, I think I'm just changed for my entire life. And that's part of her. She was sharing her abundance with us. So we can look at abundance on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll break it down real simple. There's two levels. It's either an inside abundance or it's an outside abundance, and then we get to pick and choose if we have that option,
Mm-hmm.
which is really gonna bring us to that level of inner peace, inner freedom, no longer attached to outcomes, but being okay with right where we are at, with what we have, and with what we don't have.
Mhm.
Right. And with that, Ev, I'm going to invite you to close us out. Give us a minute or so, closing thoughts, and we'll put a pretty bow in a show and call it a wrap.
I think we've tied it up, my brothers, very well around money. But I will finish on a quick story. Up at the workshop, obviously a big part of the 4-day workshop. Whew, God, that time flew. 4-day workshop was obviously around fitness and health. And I did mention at the start of the show, we do still just tie 3 things into the third dimension, and that is our relationships, that's our health, and that's our career or money. And one of the questions when we were talking about the money topic was, funnily enough, I talk a lot about with the idea of eating good foods, eating clean foods to really be able to clear up some of these things that may have been causing toxicity around relationships, even your relationship to money. And straight away they said, but Ev, you can eat all this clean stuff, but it costs too much. I said, well, let me know what you are eating. Oh, we just get those convenient foods, the foods on the run that, don't cost too much. I said, well, are you sure they don't cost too much? I said, no, just a few dollars. You go through drive-through to get you through the day. I said, you guys have watched me eat up here since I've been up here. I have my smoothie first thing in the morning. The rest of the day, I've as much got maybe a protein bar grazing through the day, and I have my big dinner overnight. I said, my brothers and sisters, do you think it's actually costing me much to live these basic wants, needs, and desires in my life? I said, no. I said, well, why investing in your health does it sound like it's a lot to be at a cost of living? Because you've got to keep in mind, how much is it going to cost you when you aren't living? And you know what the sad reply I got was? Well, my brother, it's not going to cost anything when I'm 6 feet under. So we have to think about how much value does life have itself, my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, I think what I heard right there is he missed your point. When you asked that question, you weren't talking about when you're 6 feet under. You're talking about when you have massive medical conditions that are impacting your quality of life while we're still on this earth, going to work, doing what we like to do, or doing what we have to do, but doing it in pain. And I do believe that's probably more of what you were asking.
Is it really worth it? Is your cost of living really worth not living at all? It's really a small investment, brothers and sisters. So we've got to get past a fixed interest mindset and start to become more flexible mindset. Allows us to be more expansive, like I said, instead of expensive in the way we're looking at things.
Beautiful. Well, I want to take a moment here to thank you guys, my brothers. It looks like at least 3 of you came in, 2 of you came in hot tonight. for episode 151. Viewers, if you heard something that you liked or loved, we invite you to share the link from tonight's episode, share it with family and friends, invite them to subscribe to our talk show over on YouTube or LinkedIn. I love you guys. You guys, one of the highlights for me every single week. And with that, I want to thank all of you for joining us on Real Men, Real Talk Live.